9 insane Chevrolet sleepers from 1969 GM didn't want you to notice. In 1969, you could walk into a Chevrolet dealership, order what looked like a stripped-down economy car with dogfish hubcaps and rubber floor mats, and drive away in something that would run the quarter mile in under 12 seconds. There were no stripes, no badges shouting horsepower, no hood scoop announcing what sat underneath. That was the entire point. General Motors had a corporate rule against putting its biggest engines in its smallest cars. So a handful of dealers and one insider executive found a secret loophole to do it anyway. These are 9 Chevrolet sleepers from 1969 that GM never wanted you to notice. Number 9. The 1969 Chevrolet Biscayne 427. Start with the car nobody looked at twice. The Biscayne was the cheapest full-size Chevrolet you could buy in 1969. The entry-level fleet special, or even carpeting, was an extra cost option. Most of them left the factory with an inline 6 and a 3 on the tree manual, bought by police departments, taxi fleets, and buyers who wanted maximum room for minimum money. But the order sheet had a box almost nobody checked. For roughly $450, nearly 20% of the car's entire base price, you could option the L72 427 cubic inch turbojet V8. That engine was a mechanical lifter monster, factory rated at 425 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, fed by a heavy-duty Holley carburetor on a Winters Foundry aluminum high-rise intake manifold. In a stripped 2-ton Biscayne with no sound deadening and no chrome, the result was a grocery getter that ran the quarter mile in the 15-second range and hit 60 in the mid-7-second bracket. Genuinely quick for a full-size car in 1969. Total Biscayne production for 1969 was around 68,700 units out of a full-size Chevy pool of 1.2 million, and the vast majority were 4-door sedans with 6-cylinder engines. A 2-door Biscayne with the L72 was a needle in a haystack, and it was one of the fastest accelerating cars Chevrolet sold that would attract zero attention at a traffic light. 1969 was the last year you could order a 4-speed manual in a full-size Chevrolet, which makes the Biscayne 427 the final stand of the full-size sleeper. And the 2-door sedan, the one you actually wanted, was quietly dropped after that year entirely. Number 8. The 1969 Chevrolet Kingswood Estate 427. Now put that same idea inside a wood-paneled family station wagon, and you have arguably the most absurd sleeper on this entire list. The Kingswood Estate was Chevrolet's flagship full-size wagon for 1969. The Caprice-level hauler with simulated wood-grain side panels, 6 taillights, and room for 9 passengers with the optional rear-facing third seat. It was designed to carry families, groceries, and camping gear, and you could order it with a 427. The L36 version of that big block produced 390 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, tucked completely out of sight beneath the Woodgrain and the Suburban respectability. There is no better sleeper credential than this. Even today, someone watching a Kingswood Estate roll by assumes they are looking at a chintzy old woody wagon, never suspecting there was a 390 horsepower big block under the hood, capable of humiliating the muscle cars of its era from a standing start. A dad could out-drag a GTO on the way to a family picnic, and nobody would ever believe him. Number 7. The 1969 Chevrolet Impala SS 427. The Impala SS 427 is the sleeper the collector market still has not fully woken up to, and the reason is exactly why it belongs here. It hid in plain sight as America's most popular family sedan. Under the hood sat the L72 427, an engine whose basic architecture it shared with the Corvette's legendary L88, and whose lineage traced directly to Chevrolet's NASCAR program. This was a competition-derived engine dropped into a car built for comfort. Factory rated at 425 horsepower, it was paired with the bulletproof turbo-hydromatic 400 automatic, and rear axle options climbed all the way to a 4.89 to 1 drag ratio. Here is the part that makes it a true sleeper. From the driver's seat, there was no way to know what you were piloting. The SS badging was minimal, down to a single tiny logo on the steering wheel. Chevrolet was not advertising this engine in any brochure. Only 2,455 SS427 cars were built across both engine options in 1969, and the verified L72 examples are extraordinarily rare. The GTO, the Roadrunner, and the Chevelle get all the auction headlines. The full-size Impala that could outrun most of them still sits quietly underpriced. Number 6. The 1969 Yenko Nova 427. Now the story pivots, because this is where it stops being about factory option sheets and starts being about a man who refused to accept the word no. His name was Don Yenko, and he ran a Chevrolet dealership in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Chevrolet had a firm internal limit. The biggest engine you could get in a 1969 Nova from the factory was the L78 396, producing 375 horsepower. Chevy drew the line there and would not budge, would not copo a 427 Nova, would not touch it. Yenko did it anyway. He ordered Nova Super Sports with the 396, and his mechanics pulled those engines out at the dealership and dropped in the 427 cubic inch L72, rating the result at a more realistic 450 horsepower. Consider what that means. Roughly 450 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque in a lightweight economy compact with black vinyl bench seats, rubber flooring, and a plain two-spoke steering wheel. The cars rode on a 12-bolt positive-traction rear axle with a stump-pulling 4.10 to 1 gear ratio, backed by the F41 heavy-duty suspension and an upgraded cooling system to keep the transplanted big block from overheating in traffic. 0 to 60 came in the 4 to 5 second range, a quarter mile that could dip near 11 seconds. Yenko's own people reportedly considered it almost lethal to drive, and insurance companies either priced it into the stratosphere or refused to cover it at all. Only 37 were built in 1969. Fewer than 10 are believed to survive. One sold at auction in 2026 for $852,500, which tells you exactly how the market eventually caught up to what these plain-looking compacts truly were. Number 5. The 1969 Yenko Chevelle 427. The Chevelle is where Yenko's loophole became an official factory-blessed operation, and where the sleeper became a weapon Chevrolet built on its own assembly line. For 1969, Yenko convinced Chevrolet's performance chief to build a 427 Chevelle directly at the factory using the Copo system, which we will get to in a moment. This was Copo 9562, a Chevelle that could be ordered with the L72 427, producing a factory-rated 425 horsepower, documented at just 323 cars produced. The genius of it was the disguise. A Copo Chevelle could look like a plain intermediate coupe, without the loud SS styling cues everyone associated with muscle, while hiding an engine that put it in the absolute top tier of factory performance for the era. It was built specifically to run hard without announcing itself from half a block away. Of those 323 cars, 99 went on to become full Yenko supercars, dressed with Yenko's own stripes, emblems, and gauges. The rest stayed quiet, which was always the entire idea. Number 4. The 1969 Yenko Camaro 427. By 1969, the Yenko Camaro was the most famous of all of Yenko's creations, and it existed because of a warranty problem. In 1967 and 1968, Yenko had been swapping Corvette-sourced 427s into Camaros by hand at his dealership. But those conversions came with only a limited engine warranty, which frustrated him. So for 1969, he convinced Chevrolet to factory build the 427 Camaro through the Copo system, which meant the cars left the assembly line with the big block already installed and carried the full GM 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. The engine was the L72 427, factory rated at 425 horsepower, though Yenko pegged it more honestly at 450. Here is the sleeper detail. With the exception of that enormous engine crammed into the bay, the Copo Camaros came with almost nothing identifying them as special. They rolled out on plain steel wheels with the same dog dish hubcaps as an economy model. Yenko then added his 15-inch rally wheels, a 140-mile-per-hour speedometer, and his emblems. Period tests showed these cars running the quarter mile in under 13 seconds. Yenko ordered around 200 of them for 1969. Number 3. The Copo system itself. Number 3 is not a car. It is the secret that made every Yenko and every factory 427 intermediate on this list possible. And it is the thing GM least wanted you to understand. COPO stood for Central Office Production Order. It was a bureaucratic backdoor originally created for fleet buyers, the system a company used to order 500 taxis in a specific paint color, or a run of police cars with heavy-duty cooling. It was designed for mundane, non-performance special requests. Then a Chevrolet executive named Vince Piggins, who ran performance promotions, realized the COPO system could be used to bypass GM's own corporate rule limiting engine size in intermediate and compact cars. Because COPO orders skipped the normal review process that flagged and blocked big block installations in smaller bodies, Piggins could quietly route a 427 into a Camaro or a Chevelle without corporate ever stopping it. He had a close relationship with performance-minded dealers like Don Yenko and Fred Gibb, and together they turned a fleet ordering loophole into the most exclusive performance pipeline in America. No brochure ever advertised it. You had to know the code to fill in the right box. That secrecy is the entire reason these cars are sleepers in the first place. Number 2. The 1969 COPO 9560 ZL1 Camaro. This is the one the COPO loophole was truly built to hide, and it is arguably the most insane factory Chevrolet of the entire muscle car era. The story starts with Fred Gibb, an Illinois Chevrolet dealer focused on drag racing, and drag racer Dick Harrell. They wanted something even more extreme than the L72 Yenko cars. They wanted the ZL1, an all-aluminum 427 originally developed for Can-Am road racing, installed in a Camaro. Vince Piggins made it happen through COPO code 9560. The ZL1 engine was a technical marvel, an all-aluminum big block that weighed about the same as a small block V8, despite its enormous displacement. Chevrolet officially rated it at 430 horsepower, but the engine output was widely believed to be around 500 or more. Because it was technically ordered as a base Camaro with a factory engine swap, the ZL1 came with a full factory warranty and was street legal. But this was never a street car. The race engine idled poorly, ran roughly at low speed, and was generally difficult to drive in daily traffic. Only 69 were built. In a straight-line drag race, a ZL1 has been clocked crossing the quarter-mile line in 11.99 seconds. These were factory-built race cars wearing an ordinary Camaro's clothes. Number 1. The 1969 Corvette L88 and ZL1. At the very top sits the engine family that started it all, hidden inside the one Chevrolet that was never supposed to be subtle, which is exactly what makes it the ultimate sleeper story of 1969. The L88 Corvette was Chevrolet's factory effort to build a race car and sell it through dealerships, and GM actively worked to keep ordinary buyers away from it. The L88 427 was officially rated at just 430 horsepower, and that number was a deliberate lie. The true output was well over 500. Chevrolet underrated it on purpose, precisely so casual buyers would look at the paperwork, see a number lower than the 435 horsepower L71 sitting right next to it on the order sheet, and choose something else. To further discourage anyone who did not know what they were doing, the L88 deleted the radio and the heater, and it demanded 103-octane racing fuel that no ordinary gas stations sold. Then there was the ultra-rare ZL1 version of the Corvette, the same all-aluminum engine as the COPO Camaro, of which only 2 were factory-built for 1969. The L88 and ZL1 Corvettes were the purest expression of the entire 1969 philosophy. Build the most powerful thing you can, rate it dishonestly low, strip out the comfort so only the serious would tolerate it, and let the people who understood find it on their own. That was the secret language of 1969. If you knew the codes, knew the dealers, and knew which dishonest horsepower rating actually hid the fastest car, you could buy a rocket that looked like a rental. And General Motors, held back by its own corporate rules and its own public caution, spent that entire year quietly hoping you would never notice what a few insiders were slipping right out of the back door.